Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome. My name is Heather, and on this channel we like to walk a very fine line between a shopping addicted makeup monster and a responsible adult with a makeup hobby. Now, I really enjoy eyeshadow singles, duochromes, multichromes, palettes, blush, highlighter, lip gloss, basically everything except for pressed glitter. And today we are going to be doing my May palette roundup, ranking all of the palettes that I tried in May. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, stick with me, we're getting into it right now. So I calculated out okay guys, so I tried 13 palettes in the month of May, but 2 of the palettes I only tried once, and since there were already so many other palettes to rank, I really didn't feel like it was fair to rank those palettes based solely on one attempt at using those palettes, because the one palette I didn't even use all by itself. I used other things too. So I set those to the side. We'll work on those maybe for the June roundup, but for this roundup we have 11 palettes to get through. So the first palette that we are going to be talking about is actually a combination of two things, and that is the Wet n Wild color icon palette in Lights Out. So I picked this up actually because I got it free at Walgreens. I think I paid a penny for this palette. They had it, I think they're originally like $4.99 or $5.99, something like that. There was a manufacturer coupon, there was a sale, and I had no, I'm sorry, these are like $6.99. So I think these are about $6.99, and they had them marked down to $4.99, and then I had a $5 coupon for picking up a prescription there. So I ended up getting this basically for free, and I was so excited to be able to pick up something for free that was something that I kind of wanted to try. Of course, I've been vibing or lusting after the Natasha Denona Glam palette and the Melt Mary Jane palette for all those like really grungy silvery tones, but I don't have a ton of cool tone mattes in my collection. So I wanted to, like, this kind of piqued my interest, and when I saw it was on sale and I could get it for free, I was like, let's try it for free, that's fine. I do really like the mattes in this palette. This green is very pretty in the pan, but once you get it on the eye, it basically just looks black. It's not green enough to really show like a distinct difference between that and the black. I do like these kind of taupey shades here. I think those look really nice. This makes a beautiful inner corner highlight. I will say I haven't used these other shimmers here because I've actually been using a couple of shimmers from JD Glow. So let me show you those. So I made an order from JD Glow and picked up these 4 shimmers. I just have them in a ColourPop palette, but I have Pencil Me In, Pistol, Robot Girl, and Lavender Taupe, I think. Yeah, and Lavender Taupe. So Pencil Me In, Robot Girl, no, what did I just say? Pencil Me In, Pistol, Robot Girl, Lavender Taupe. These shades look so pretty. I really love using a combination of these two on my lids to make like that smoky kind of gunmetal type smoky eye look. In combination with the Wet n Wild palette, I did that several times throughout the month, and really enjoyed these two things together. So these together are coming in at number 11. The next one to talk about is the Huda Beauty Nude Light Palette. Now, I got this actually from my husband. It was part of a gift that he gave me. He basically said, I'm going to a meeting out of town. I'm going to swing by Sephora. You let me know what you want. I'm going to pick it up for you. And I was like, don't mind if I do. So I picked up this, and I actually picked up the Nude Rich, which we'll talk about in a little bit. I like this palette. I think the shimmers in this palette are really pretty, and I do like this kind of soft rosy tone, but I feel like some of these other shades are just too light for me to get an intense look. I mean, obviously I like an intense look, so for me the mattes don't do a whole lot for me in this palette, but I do like them to kind of be that last kind of blend out shade before you hit the lid, or before you hit the brow, I'm sorry. And then I use the other palette to do kind of like deeper, smokier colors, make it look a little bit more vibrant on my eyes. So for me, this came in at number 10. Alright, coming in at number 9, this is the BH Cosmetics Weekend Vibes Mimosa palette, and I picked this up because I was vibing or lusting after all these like pretty bright coral tones. I really love the orangey yellow shades in here. The champagne shade, you guys, it looks so pretty. It's not a gold, it's like a bright, vibrant, metallic canary yellow. So it's really pretty, and I feel like it's really unique. So much of what you see is like gold when you see kind of a yellow metallic type shade. So I really love that that's not quite golden. It's more this like metallic-y canary kind of color. Really, really pretty. I love these two shades to do like a pink eye with. The guava, the vibes, I love that they're kind of like leaning more towards a coral type color story. This palette I took with me on a weekend trip with one of my friends, and I had just the best time playing with this palette. So really, really enjoyed this one. So it came in there. Now you might be asking yourself, like, Heather, you're saying you really, really enjoy these palettes, but they're at the bottom of your list. And you are correct. But there are things that I just enjoyed more. So this month's ranking is really just about like what did I like the best, and not like what was a bad quality product. Because I really think even these lower end, like lower ranked palettes are still good quality. They just maybe aren't serving my 100% purpose, or there's things that I just loved so much more this month. So we'll get into that. The next one to talk about is the Cara Beauty Issue 3 Make a Statement palette. And if you saw my video last week, you saw me using this palette. If not, I'll throw it up into the cards for you. I love the artwork on this palette, and I love this color story. Like these greens and blues over here are just, oh my gosh, they're so pretty. They're so pigmented. The highlighter's a little deep for me. That's totally fine. I'll use it as a bronze topper. The bronzer I think I can make work. I did use this glitter in relation, literally these are the only two eye looks I've ever done glitters with. But I did use that glitter just to kind of test it out and see what it was like, because again, very, very small particles. But I do think that this color story is really, really pretty, and I definitely enjoy the looks that I've made with this palette. Alright, the next one to talk about, this is a cute little palette. This is the Alva 2 Mini Forest palette from Odin's Eye Cosmetics, and it looks like this. I really like this palette for the shimmers, and this kind of minty blue shade I think is also very pretty. This kind of metallic-y greenish yellow duochrome I don't get as much use out of, and the brown I feel like I could just take or leave that, because I have so many browns in my collection that I'm just like whatever. But this blue, like, we're not going to go swatching everything, but like, oh my god, it's so vibrant, it's so bright, it's almost got this like blue, silver, teal, multi-chrome, duochrome kind of moment, and it just, every time I use it, the eye look just pops, and I get so many compliments on it. So I've really enjoyed using this palette from Odin's Eye. I would be interested in picking up some of the other mini palettes as well. This one I picked up in the mystery box. So if you haven't seen that video should be linked above as well. But I did use this then to make a look with the other palette that I picked up in the mystery box, and I really enjoyed it. Alright, and so of course then the other palette from the mystery box is the Alva 2 eyeshadow palette. This is the big boy, and I really wanted this when it first came out, but because it has two pressed glitters in it, I passed. Now, Odin's Eye has made a statement that they're not going to be including pressed glitters in their palettes anymore, which I think is awesome because they're not eye safe. So I really like the idea of, you know, just getting like mattes and shimmers, metallics, and their formulas are so nice that I don't think they really need to rely on that. This kind of burgundy shade here, these blues here, these greens, I mean, they have such pretty colors, and I cannot wait to be playing with this a little bit more. I love how like bright and springy it is. It definitely gives me like, I don't know, so much inspiration. Like, I just love looking at this palette, and I love coming up with ideas with using this palette. Alright, the next palette on my list is the Glam Shop W Moro palette, and it looks like this. I guess I'll show you the cover. Is just kind of a camo looking thing. I have been like jonesing so hard for these like grungy green color stories, and when I see this palette I get so inspired. I love these mattes. They blend so beautifully, and they're very pigmented. They're very soft pressed, so they have tons and tons of kick up. I don't care though, because I'm never going to run out of this. This palette is so nice, and these metallics, like, they look like glitters, but they're not. They're metallics, and they are so vibrant and sparkly, and they just take your eye look to a whole other level. Every time I do a look with this palette, I'm completely obsessed with it, and I know it's a monochromatic basically palette, so it's not going to make like tons and tons of looks, but I love it so much, and I think it is so pretty. So definitely have been enjoying this one. Alright, the next one to talk about is newer to my collection, and I've only used it like 2 or 3 times, but I do really love it. I knew I was going to love it the minute it came out, but I was just waiting for a sale because it was kind of expensive, and that is the Glamlite Ice Cream Dream Palette. So I originally talked myself out of this palette because I have other pastel palettes. So do I need another pastel palette? But I wanted this one really badly. I love the Glamlite shimmer formula. Their shimmers are so like metallic, and they just pick up so much light that you just cannot go wrong. Again, I've been really drawn to these like kind of grungy greens. I love this kind of like blue toned lavendery type color, periwinkle. And I love this straight up lavender. You know, you have a handful of like pinks and neutrals and stuff that you see in a lot of Glamlite palettes and a lot of palettes in general. But I feel like especially through here, you get a lot of like really interesting colors that you don't see everywhere else. I also really like that French vanilla shade for an inner corner highlight. I think it looks so, so pretty. I did wait because this was $45 originally, so I waited until they had a 30% off sale, and then I picked this one up, and I'm much happier with that price point, I think. But like, I love ice cream, I love pastels, I love Glamlite's formula, so there was no way this wasn't coming into my collection at some point. Alright, and we talked about Huda Beauty Nude Light. Now it is time for Nude Rich. Now, clearly I am not nude rich at all, but can we take a moment to appreciate how pretty this palette is? Like, the burgundy, red, berry smokiness of it all, I'm so here for it. I have really just been drawn to these colors recently. I've done so many looks going to work with this palette. This and this make excellent shades to kind of like smoke out an outer corner, really give you some depth, some vibrance. And so I do use this in conjunction with the Nude Light, but I also like just using these kind of nude shimmers, and I think it looks so, so pretty. So I really hope that Huda Beauty continues to put out palettes that are like light, medium, and rich, because I love how vibrant these are. And then I think that gives you the opportunity to really select like how vibrant of an eyeshadow look do you want to use. For me, I want it to be about 2 steps from drag. So this palette works so beautifully for me. And so it's my number 3 palette of the month. Now coming in at number 2 is the NYX Ultimate Utopia palette. The first look that I did with this palette, which I did include in my video talking about this palette and swatching this palette out, so I'll leave that information up there. But the first look that I did with this palette, I was so stunned. I used mostly these kind of blue teal shades over here, kind of over in this area, and I really like how that look came out. It was smoky, it was vibrant, it was bright, it was so, so pretty to me. And I tried to recreate it another day, and I couldn't get it quite to where I had it the first time, so I was kind of like, oh my gosh, what if that's like a look I can never get back? You know what I mean? Like, that would just be horrible. But I did also make a look with this kind of grungy, kind of green brown taupey shade, and I really like how that look came out as well. I like this bright green here. I like some of these softer shades. I love these deep mattes that you have so many different choices, so that you can really make a look that's not just like black in the outer corner all the time. So for me, even though this palette is enormous, and I'm not typically a fan of enormous palettes, I've been lusting after this one for ages, and I was not wrong. I love this palette. And so that brings us to the number 1 palette for this month. And the number 1 palette for this month is actually not a palette at all. So the number 1 palette for me for the month is the Amy Loves Beauty Amy Hearts Makeup dupe palette that I did and used a bunch of singles. So this palette is the one that got the most use for me out of this month. I'll leave the video up in the cards, of course, where I show you swatches of this palette and kind of talk about why I picked the colors I picked. But this is kind of duping the vibes of that palette because I was not able to get my hands on it, and the Amy Hearts Beauty brand is so shady. You can hear about all that in the video, but anyway, I had to really force myself away from this palette to use some of these other palettes in the month, so it wasn't just like, hey, I bought 50 palettes this month and I only used one. because that's what this video was going to be otherwise. So I had to really force myself away from this palette, but I really, really love how pretty this color story is. I love how the collection of colors comes together. They all work so nicely together. I don't even have the nerve to like move those two Cliona shadows back into my Cliona like singles collection because I just want to keep this palette the way it is. So I've actually just kind of decided I'm going to leave it in this pan and kind of leave it as is in my collection until I get tired of it, and then I can kind of break it down. But I've really, really been enjoying using that palette, so I just want to keep it as is so I can keep using it. Alright you guys, and that is everything for this video. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know which of these palettes do you think would have been your top if you had tried all these palettes this month, or let me know what are the palettes that you tried this month and what was your top pick, because I would love to hear that information as well. I've definitely already got my list started for next month. I've got, like I said, those two palettes that I didn't get a chance to really fully investigate this month. I'll be throwing into next month's ranking, so you'll see those then. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in my next video. Bye!